much for him in the boxing sense. Like, I didn't learn much about Jake in this fight. I didn't learn how much better he could have gotten because he didn't really show too much. In fact, the first couple of rounds, he was very wary of Mike Tyson and stayed at a range that was keeping him safe, which I thought was pretty shocking because, yeah, okay, you do that for the first maybe round or two, and then you get in and stick it on Mike, and he didn't do that. And I know this is going to sound crazy to me, but if the whole buildup is, I'm going to knock Mike out, I'm going to knock Mike out. Again, I do appreciate some contrition. We'll get to what Jake said in the post-fight press conference, but if that's the buildup, and then you don't even attempt to do that, or you don't attempt to engage in the fight that would have created that moment for either of you, and you do just get the win, especially after the slap and everything else. I know it's a build. I know that we had this crescendo of, shit talk and the slap and the whole thing, and Jake's pulling contracts and gets to the fight, and it's a bit of a letdown. I'm sorry. I don't want to say that I wanted to see Mike get knocked out because I didn't want to see that, but I did want to see Jake try to go in and showcase whatever it was. And I know he wants to genuinely not hurt Mike because I think Jake Paul genuinely does idolize Mike Tyson, but it does leave a weird kind of feel for the fans when you do all of that, and then at the end of the rounds, like 5, 6, and 7, you can clearly see Jake taking his foot off the gas pedal. But that's only after the first couple of rounds where he avoided Mike pretty much at all costs, which again shows the respect, but also it's a boxing match. The goal is to hurt the other individual. Jake knows this. That feels like it's just a bit of a letdown. And another reason you look at that and you have to go, man, Mike's a warrior for going through all this, but was it? I hope it was worth it. And I hope that, the whatever money he made was enough to not let him do this anymore, because he just put out a tweet today, and I'll read it for you guys. Mike says, this is one of those situations when you lost but still won. I'm grateful for last night. No regrets to get in the ring one last time. So it looks like that is going to be Mike's last time in the ring. Thank goodness. I don't think, especially after last night, that he should do this again. And then he says, I almost died in June. I had 8 blood transfusions, lost half my blood and 25 pounds in the hospital, and had to fight to get healthy to fight. So I won. This was not information that anyone had, at least not publicly. And you saw him on the Netflix countdown talk about how he was in the hospital and stuff, but he didn't talk about 8 blood transfusion and whatever, almost dying. And even though, again, I did put that caution out to you guys that Mike should not be fighting, knowing this, he really shouldn't have been. And to see him go through with it, yes, an absolute warrior, but wow. Again, this is a positive message for Mike. He goes on to say, to have my children see me stand toe-to-toe and finish 8 rounds with a talented fighter half my age in front of a packed Dallas Cowboys stadium is an experience that no man has the right to ask for. Thank you. So it's a positive message, right? He had a goal. He went in there, went toe-to-toe with Jake, and came out the other side of it. That's good for Mike. But that message on top of, watching him physically deteriorate throughout the rounds there, it's not something that I look at and I go, yeah, great stuff there, Mike. Again, you can understand why he's proud, but as an outsider looking in, as someone that was there, it did feel a little bit sad. And I know that people are not really going to buy the whole Jake just took his foot off the gas pedal. I mean, we'll watch this here. We'll take a look so you guys can see.
At any point, did you start to take your foot off the gas just a little bit because you noticed he was tiring out?
Yeah, definitely a bit. I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt.
So Jake says you want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt, and I guess I believe him for the latter half of the fight where both guys really stopped doing much at all. But not gonna lie, Jake was throwing some hammers in the middle of that fight. It just didn't land as cleanly as he wanted, or they landed clean, but Mike's chin was able to hold up because Jake was not pulling punches in rounds 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4. He was landing some heavy shots. Like, you don't throw the punch that he throws or he threw in some of those rounds with the intent to let it go lightly when they just whiz by Mike's face with sheer force, or they just brush him on the nose or on the forehead versus on the chin. That lands in a different spot, and Mike's probably asleep on the canvas. But fair play to Mike for being able to take some of those shots, because again, I was shocked that he was able to take even some of them that were on the nose or on the forehead that Jake landed. His right hand, the big punch he has, pretty cleanly. Could have been the 14 ounces. It could have been, whatever else. But regardless, Jake did throw some big, heavy shots. And yes, at the same time, I do believe as the fight went longer and as it was clear Mike wasn't even able to move, let alone throw. Like, there was a point in the fight where he was throwing just like punches at air. Jake's like 6 feet away from him. He's not even close to hitting him with anything. And Mike's just going through the motions of trying to set his stuff up, with us all in the crowd knowing that if he advances forward, he's moving so slow, there's no way that he's going to touch Jake with anything. At that point, yeah, Jake started to let off the gas and kind of just let the fight finish. And then we saw, at the end where he bowed to Mike and all that. So again, I have no problem with that. I think it's very honorable in the moment, and recognizing that there was no more need for damage is great for Jake. It's just the optics of it don't really help him, because people only would be satisfied with one thing happening here, and that was really